On February 26, 2025, Gene Hackman and his wife was found dead in mysterious circumstances. This shocking news came from a quiet home in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where the two had lived far away from the busy life of Hollywood. No one expected to find them like this, and the strange details have left many people puzzled. At about 3:17 a.m. that morning, a group of maintenance workers arrived at the home after not hearing from the couple for several days. When they got there, they found the door unlocked and the house unusually silent. Inside, everything seemed normal at first glance. But then the workers made a grim discovery. Gene Hackman, the famous actor known for movies like The French Connection and Unforgiven, was lying on the floor with no clear sign of a struggle. Next to him was the body of his wife, who had once been a celebrated classical pianist. The police were quickly called to the scene. Sheriff Mar Rodriguez, who has worked on many difficult cases, explained that nothing in the house suggested that someone had broken in. There were no broken windows, no signs of a fight, and no evidence that anyone had been forced inside. Instead, the mystery was found in the details of the scene itself. Gene's body did not show any obvious injuries or marks that would indicate a violent death. He looked peaceful, as if he had simply fallen asleep and never woken up. His wife, however, showed clear signs of having been dead for some time. Her body was already beginning to decay, which meant that she had likely died several days before Gene was found. This strange gap in time between their deaths has led the investigators to ask many questions. Many people wondered what could have caused the two very different outcomes. Some experts think that a hidden toxin or chemical in the house might have played a part. It is possible that something in the air or the water slowly made her sick first, and then later it may have affected Gene too. Other experts suggest that Gene's heart might have given out from shock after losing his beloved wife. Right before his death, he might have felt too much pain and sadness to continue living. Gene Hackman was 95 years old at the time of his death. Even though he was very old, many who knew him said he looked healthy and active. He loved to exercise, do yoga, and even build things in his workshop. Just a few days before the discovery, one of his close friends, Dennis Quaid, had visited him. Dennis said that Gene was working on a new woodworking project and was in a very good mood. There was no hint of any trouble or illness. This made the events of that early morning even more mysterious. Gene's daughter, Leslie Hackman, gave an emotional interview about her father. She said that he had always been strong and full of life. Even at 95, he took care of his body by doing Pilates and other exercises. Leslie remembered him as a man who loved life and was never weak, even when he was very old. She also spoke about the close bond between her father and his wife. For over 30 years, the couple had supported each other and shared a deep, loving relationship. Leslie explained that her father often said his wife was his best friend and the reason he stayed healthy. In the small community of Santa Fe, the news of Gene and his wife's deaths hit hard. The couple had been active members of the community. They had often supported local causes, helped in art programs, and even sponsored events for schools. Neighbors described them as kind and caring people who always took the time to help others. When news of their deaths spread, many local residents gathered near their home to leave flowers, notes, and simple tributes. They wanted to show respect and remember the good things that the couple had done for the town. The investigation soon grew complicated. Forensic experts carefully examined every corner of the house. They took samples of the air, the water, and even dust from the windowsills. Their goal was to find any sign of a hidden danger that might have led to the deaths. One expert, Dr. Eleanor Garrison, explained in a simple way, when a body is found late, the natural process of decay can change or remove many clues. This makes it hard to know exactly what happened. Her words meant that every little piece of evidence was very important. One of the biggest puzzles for the investigators was the timeline. Gene and his wife did not seem to have died at the same time. Instead, the tests suggested that she had been gone for several days before Gene was found. This made the case very strange. How could one person die days before the other, and yet both be found in the same home? One theory is that something in their home might have made her sick first and then later affected Gene. Another theory is that Gene might have simply stopped living after the shock of losing his wife, even if he was in good health just a few days earlier. News channels and online websites quickly picked up the story. Many reporters talked about the case, trying to understand the strange events. The media used simple words to explain the case to everyone. They told people that the police were still looking for clues and that the final answers might take time to come out. Many people on social media shared their memories of Gene Hackman, praising his work in movies and his kind personality off-screen. They posted comments like, "I loved his movies," and "he was a true hero." These messages showed that people around the world were deeply saddened by his death. The case was very hard for everyone involved. Investigators spent long hours reviewing every piece of evidence. They took many photos, measured every room, and talked to neighbors who might have seen something unusual. Every detail was important, and even the smallest clue could help solve the mystery. The police set up a special command center to focus on the case, and they promised to update the public as soon as they knew more. As days turned into weeks, more experts joined the investigation. They worked together to study the toxicology reports, which were expected to show if there was any poison in the bodies. The tests would help answer the big questions. Was there a chemical in the house? Could a gas leak have killed her first and then affected Gene later? Or did Gene's heart simply give out from the shock of losing his wife? For now, all these questions were left unanswered. The community of Santa Fe did not forget the couple. Local schools and art centers organized small events to remember Gene and his wife. They played soft music, held art exhibitions, and shared stories about the kindness and generosity of the Hackmans. In one school, teachers told the children about the importance of caring for one another, using the couple's story as a gentle reminder. "Even famous people need love and care," a teacher said simply, "and we should always look out for each other." Throughout this difficult time, the Hackman family asked for privacy. Leslie Hackman, the daughter, spoke to reporters and asked that people let the police work without too much outside attention. She said, "This is a hard time for us. Please let us grieve in peace and allow the experts to do their work." Her words were heartfelt, and many people understood that this was a personal loss too big for any public discussion. Gene Hackman had a long career in Hollywood. He had acted in many well-known movies and earned great respect for his talent. He won 2 big awards, the Academy Awards, and was nominated for several more. His movies were loved by many, and he had a way of making every role feel real and full of life. Even after he retired from acting, he found new ways to be creative. He wrote books, painted pictures, and built beautiful pieces of woodwork. His hobbies showed that he had a deep love for life and art, even when he was far from the busy world of Hollywood. Betsy, his wife, was equally talented. As a classical pianist, she had played in many concerts and touched the hearts of those who listened to her music. She had a quiet strength that many people admired. In their long marriage, she was the one who always supported Gene, encouraged him to keep working on his art, and made sure he took care of himself. The love between them was simple and strong, a kind of love that many people find hard to understand today. When the news broke that Gene Hackman and his wife had died, the entire film community felt the loss. Many former co-stars, directors, and friends sent their condolences. Francis Ford Coppola, a famous director who had worked with Gene, said, "Gene was not just a great actor. He was a wonderful person who cared deeply about art and life." His words echoed the feelings of many who had known Gene personally. The respect and admiration that people had for him were clear, and his loss was seen as a great loss to the world of film and art. As the investigation continued, every new piece of evidence added another layer to the mystery. The police looked at the house in great detail. They checked the air vents, the water supply, and every small corner of the home where something might have been hidden. They also looked at the records of any work that had been done on the house recently. Even a small repair might have left behind a clue. All of these efforts were part of trying to build a clear picture of what had happened on that fateful morning. Dr. Eleanor Garrison, the forensic pathologist, helped explain why this case was so hard to solve. When a body is found after several days, nature does its work. The clues we might normally see can disappear or change, she said in plain language. This means we have to look at many different factors before we can decide what happened. Her explanation helped people understand that science and careful study were needed to solve the mystery. Every day, the news brought a little more information. The police held press conferences and explained that they were following every lead. They asked the public for any details that might have been missed. Neighbors were told to call if they had seen something strange in the days leading up to the discovery. Although many people had theories about what could have happened, The police stressed that no idea was confirmed until all tests were complete. The theories that came up were many and varied. Some experts believed that a gas leak or another kind of toxin could have quietly filled the house. If that were the case, it might have affected Betsy first, especially if she was more sensitive to the substance. Others thought that Gene might have been perfectly healthy until the sudden shock of his wife's death caused his body to fail. Still, another idea was that both of them might have suffered from a rare medical problem that no one had noticed before. Until the tests were finished, all these ideas were only guesses. Local newspapers and simple online news sites explained the case in language that everyone could understand. They compared the situation to a puzzle with missing pieces, where each new clue helped slowly complete the picture. Many readers appreciated these clear explanations, as they made a complex investigation easier to follow. In the days and weeks that followed, the investigation did not only focus on the cause of death. The police also looked at the couple's daily life. They wanted to know if anything unusual had happened in the days before their deaths. They reviewed phone records, checked security cameras in the neighborhood, and even talked to friends and neighbors about the couple's routine. Every detail was important to understand if something had changed or if there was any sign of danger around their home. During this long process, the community of Santa Fe continued to remember Gene and his wife in many small ways. Local groups organized memorial services and art shows to celebrate the lives of the HACKMAN'S. Some people held small concerts in honor of Betsy, playing soft piano music that reminded everyone of her talent and gentle nature. Others showed clips of Gene's famous movies at community centers so that people could remember the joy he had brought to so many. These acts of remembrance helped keep the memory of the couple alive even as the investigation went on. The media continued to follow the case closely. Each new detail was reported in simple language so that everyone could understand. When the toxicology reports were finally released, they provided a few hints but also raised more questions. The reports did not point to a single cause of death. Instead, they suggested that there might have been several factors at work. This news only deepened the mystery, and experts promised that more tests would be done in the coming weeks. Gene Hackman's long and successful career in movies was celebrated all over the world after his death. Fans wrote letters, created online tribute pages, and shared stories of how his films had changed their lives. Many said that his calm presence on screen and his ability to bring deep emotion to every role had made him one of the best actors of all time. Even as people mourned his loss, they also celebrated the many wonderful moments he had given them through his work. After retiring from acting, Gene had chosen a simple life. He moved away from the busy life of Hollywood to a peaceful home in New Mexico. There he spent his days painting, writing, and doing woodworking projects in his small workshop. His life in New Mexico was a quiet one, focused on creativity and personal fulfillment. It was a sharp contrast to the noisy, fast-paced world of the movies. This choice had always been part of who he was, a man who valued peace, art, and the simple pleasures of life. Betsy, too, had built a life full of art and beauty. As a classical pianist, she had performed in many small concerts and private events. Her music was soft, calm, and full of emotion. She had a way of touching the hearts of those who listened to her play. Together, Gene and Betsy had created a home filled with art, music, and love, a safe haven from the pressures of fame and the demands of the outside world. In the quiet streets of Santa Fe, the memory of the Hackmans continued to be honored. Local residents still talk about the couple with fondness. They remember how Gene's movies once filled the cinemas with excitement, and how Betsy's music brought a sense of calm and beauty to their lives. Their home, now quiet and empty, has become a symbol of a lost era, a time when art and simplicity were at the heart of everyday living. The investigation into their mysterious deaths has also sparked a deeper conversation about life and loss. Many people began to ask, how can two people, so full of life just days before, suddenly be taken away in such a quiet, unexplained way? This question touched the hearts of many who knew them and of those who had only known them through their art. It served as a reminder that even the brightest stars can fade, and sometimes the reasons behind such losses are hidden in mysteries that are hard to solve. Every detail of the case is being carefully checked. The police continue to work with experts, studying each clue and testing every theory. They have set up labs and special teams just to look at the evidence from the home. In interviews, Sheriff Rodriguez has said, "We are doing everything we can to understand what happened. Every small detail matters." His careful words remind us that finding the truth is not always simple, but it is always important. As the days go by, more and more of the investigation is shared with the public. Simple updates are given at press conferences, and people are told about new findings in language that is easy to understand. These updates help the community feel a part of the process and remind everyone that the search for truth is ongoing. Local experts also try to explain what might have happened in a way that anyone can follow. One expert said, "Sometimes a person's body shows signs that do not match the usual patterns we expect. When that happens, it means we must look at many factors to figure out the truth." This simple explanation helped many people see that the case was complicated, but that the truth was being sought with care and hard work. The story of Gene Hackman and his wife is not just about a mysterious death. It is also about a long life filled with art, creativity, and love. Gene's movies have entertained generations, and his later life as an artist and writer has inspired many to follow their own dreams. Betsy's music brought light to dark days, and her quiet strength was a source of comfort to those who knew her. Together, they made a team that many will always remember. As we remember them today, we also remember the mystery that surrounds their final days, the strange timing of their deaths, the quiet home where they lived, and the many unanswered questions continue to challenge those who look for answers. Yet even as we search for the truth, we also celebrate the beautiful lives they lived. If you have ever watched a Gene Hackman movie or listened to Betsy's piano music, you know that they brought a special kind of magic into the world. Their work reminds us that art is not just something we see or hear, it is something that touches our hearts. And even in the face of mystery and loss, that magic can continue to inspire us. Thank you for listening to this story. If you found it interesting, please like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. We will keep you updated as new information comes out about this case. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. What do you remember most about Gene Hackman's movies? How did his work or Betsy's music make you feel? Your comments help us remember the good times and the great art they brought to the world. As we wait for more answers, let us hold on to the simple truth. Life is precious, and art makes that life brighter. The mystery of Gene Hackman and his wife reminds us to cherish every moment, to care for those we love, and to never take for granted the small joys in life. Their story, filled with both beauty and sorrow, will continue to live on in the hearts of those who knew them and in the art they left behind. Thank you for watching, and please join us again for more stories that matter. Stay safe, and remember to take care of each other.